So, I see that very much that when we are the like center focus of the community, or like where we are with our label, like anything that we do affects us. It's just like, I'm the star girl.
All the time. And that reminds me of another star girl, Meg the Stallion. And it's got me wondering, like, is Protect Black Women just like a trending topic, or where did it go?
Girl,
like,
don't get me started, because, oh my God.
Is it over? Like, is it over?
Where's
no,
the
seriously,
movement?
where is it over?
I've said this since last year. I kept saying, like, are we still gonna keep going with this? Are we still gonna keep people
like the Me Too movement? Yeah. Like, that was a real movement. We still see stories coming out all the time about that. We're talking about the cases. At the same time, it's like Protect Black Women kind of just like went under the radar. And what's crazy about that is I would have thought it would have came right back around, considering that they were at that festival together and Tory Lanez popped out with the baby.
Yep.
So you would think that that would have been her time, or even anybody's time, because we put a lot of pressure on celebrities and artists in general, people in general, to uphold a certain title. Like the Protect Black Women was Meg the Stallion because of what happened to her, but she needs support behind that. It can't just be Megan the Stallion leading it by herself. She needs real support. So my question is, like, where did that go, and are we coming back to that?
My thing is that it becomes where if you're speaking up about it and you are passionate about it and you said, hey, let me talk about it, I feel like you need to hold yourself accountable to keep bringing it up. And keep like.
Well, what about the people that need to be held accountable for the fact that this had happened? I mean, look at the baby. We see this all the time in our communities, where the baby will be cool with Megan the Stallion, right? They were friends, did a lot of work with each other, et cetera, et cetera. And we can say we can separate personal from artist. That's a whole nother conversation, because most of the time people don't do that.
Yeah.
People don't. But even with that being said, it's like we watch this friendship or this companionship or whatever we want to call it turn into, now he's supporting the same person that is, quote unquote, and I say this allegedly, abused her or harmed her. And I see that a lot. It's almost like because she's not talking about it constantly, and when she did talk about it, people were even dragging her for like whether or not it was like valid what happened to her. And now we see people that will align themselves with abusers, and there's no accountability for that.
I think that, it's like a human thing for also to celebrities to process what's going on, and like to realize that they might be dealing with hurt. They might be dealing with like trust issues. They might be dealing with a lot of things, because, sometimes even we as people, when someone else, catches that little detail that we are missing, it becomes to break us down and see that person in a different point of view.
Right. So that's why I'm kind of concerned for Megan the Stallion, because I'm just like, well, how does she evaluate her circle when there's people in her circle who were aligned with her, quote unquote?
And mind you, that's hard too when you're a celebrity like that.
Right. And then you see somebody switch. You know what I mean? I think that's more of the conversation that we should be having in the communities around protecting Black women, because when does it ever end, so to speak? And it doesn't end when Protect Black Women or said person is no longer feeling harmed and they feel safe. And how do we continue to ensure that they're safe without also ostracizing the person who caused the harm? And we're not having those conversations about Tory Lanez or Megan the Stallion, and that's unfortunate because it's so mainstream, and it's one of the major cases I feel that has happened outside of like the Bill Cosbys and the T.I.s and the things like that, that we see that she was really making a stance for it, but then was also getting brutally like condemned for coming out about it, and then people tearing apart the story. It's like, we shouldn't even be doing all that. Like, we should be coming together, having a conversation about accountability, ensuring that the spaces are safe, because clearly where they were at wasn't safe, because they had a protection order that I don't even think anyone knew until after the fact.
But you know what's crazy to me about things like this is like, it's how it's scary to know that people actually do choose sides to the stories.
There shouldn't be a choice. Like, why can't both things exist? Why can't this person have caused harm, this person felt harm, and we deal with that accordingly? Like, how do we, again, like, to go back to what we were talking about last time, it's like, Where's the accountability? Where is the restorative justice?
And then, oh, I love that you're bringing that up, because you also said, like, when does the punishment end? You know, and it's like, it's like, if we don't address it, if we don't kind of like teach someone what they're doing wrong too, it's like, when are we going to allow them back into the community again?
Exactly. Because no one is disposable. I want to ensure like that's very clear. If you've caused harm to someone, no one is disposable. But you do need intervention, you do need counseling, you do need restorative steps in order to congregate and
because
come
change
back.
is possible.
Of course.
Yeah.
We evolve every day. Who I was yesterday may not be who I am today. You know, and trauma also plays a huge role in all of that as well, and how we experience that can definitely change our perception, our perspective on ourselves, and how we see the outside world.
Damn, girl, you took that so deep. She's like, I'm not gonna take it there.
I mean, we have to be honest about it, because if we're not being honest, then we don't get to the raw,
authentic truth.
Exactly. And we don't have no solution, so we'll just be talking about the problem and not talking about solutions, and who's got time for that?
Girl, oh my God. You know, and you know, I just love the fact that like you really can break down the conversation, and also to not only the conversation, but like the problem, because like I feel like at times it's hard for everybody to like really see a problem, see what's going on, and saying, okay, let's see, are you okay? Is this person okay? Because usually we see like people fighting, argue, this word, that word. I don't ever want to talk to you again. And then we see friendships being lost. We see people being forgotten. We see people just like.
And not to advocate too much for Tory Lanez, now that you said that, but like, these are the type of situations that when we demean someone and badger someone and put them in this box of like, you are this, you don't know psychologically what that effect is going to have on a person. And you know, we see even on social media and trending topics and people getting dragged, you don't know how they're perceiving that. And unfortunately, that can also lead to suicide. And people don't want to have that conversation either.
And mental health issues too.
Exactly. You know, feeling lonely, being depressed, feeling rejected, feeling ostracized, all of those things play a role in lack of trust. Because again, like, you have a trust circle. When those people start to move around in that circle, it starts to make you kind of like question your judgment. And that's what drives people, you know, sometimes to harm themselves even more so than what they already are dealing with.
That's true. And oh girl, it just takes it so much, because it's just like, at times, like, you really want to figure out like where people's mindsets are. And it's just like, with like a situation like that, it's like they're so famous that we're all just wondering like, girl, what's the tea? What's
Right.
going on? Like, is she okay? Is he okay? Like, what's going on? Like, how are people taking it? But it's true. Mainstream will always take it and be like, well, we're gonna make money off of this. Let's talk trash about her. Let's talk trash about him. And let's, you know. Because
there's a market for that. I don't know why, as a whole, we need to tear each other down or judge one another, criticize one another for every single thing that we see. I think I try my hardest to be mindful, but also rational. I don't know what somebody's going through. So if I don't know, then I'm assuming based off of my perception of them. And 9 times out of 10, when we're perceiving something, we are integrating our own feelings and how we perceive ourselves and projecting that onto the person. So it's not really a true picture or a depiction of a person. It's based off of whatever we feel inside onto the person.
I feel like you're like the scientist of like conversation. You know how like scientists are always, why does that do that? Like, what is that? Why is that blue? Why is that red?
Don't do me.
Like, I feel like that's what you do with conversations. Like, why? And that's good though, because a lot of us have to ask ourselves, why?
Yeah.
Or what's going on?
Right. And taking ourselves out of that to be able to look at it from an unbiased perspective, it's easier said than done. I'm not a professional at it. I still make mistakes frequently. I'm not perfect, but what I do try to do, I am not perfect. I try to just practice the mindfulness and really pay attention to like what I'm saying and also what I'm receiving. I don't need to make my mind up about anything. I think impartiality is actually what leads to love, because when you don't judge anyone, you love them for who they show up as. Exactly.
But it's crazy because I would always feel like perfection is everything. It's every flaw, it's everything, you know? But with that, we're gonna take a little break because I wanna like dive into other conversations of getting to know you. And we'll be right back with We Are Here with me and Amanda.
Hey.